Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I want to talk to you about common gold foil versus reg foil pricing in Conclave. There's a huge difference, and this discrepancy is your advantage if you're recognizing it. If you're building out your Conclave deck, you don't want to miss this one. Let's get into it. So something happens every time we release a new set of cards within Splinterlands, or really any collectible card game. There's always going to be certain issuances of certain cards that are really highly desirable that are going to be bought up, and they're going to attract attention, and they distract from other assets because there's this brand new issuance of many items. In this case, Conclave I think has 85 or 88 cards in it, and we can't buy all things all the time, and so we attend to certain particular lanes, focusing our chase for value in certain areas, and that results in certain assets holding value or appreciating rapidly, while others will lose value or not be recognized for the value they're holding. Because truly, value is what it's worth, but price is what you're paying, or price is what you pay, but value is what you get. And so this complicated dance of understanding that, like, what is the fundamental valuation for a thing always unfolds when there's a new pack issuance in Splinterlands. It's part of the game within the game of why this game is so much fun, why Splinterlands is so exciting, because it's not just a collectible card game where you're fighting me and whoever wins gets a little reward. It's actually this nuanced and complicated economic system where if you properly understand this game within the game, where is the hidden value, what price doesn't reflect accurately the proper value of a thing, you're going to be able to stretch your dollar and do more for less. That's how you're going to achieve a greater degree of success. That's how you're going to set yourself apart. And Conclave, or any release, Rebellion, every other release, every time in the history of the game, it's this new moment where I think it's like a tumultuous time where there's so much confusion about what is the best, what is the worst. We're exploring the meta, where different people are being distracted by whether it's regular foils, gold foils, black foils, gold foil arcanes, etc. Conclave, Rebellion, Chaos Legion, you can go in 20 different directions, land, there's so many ways to go that you can't have it all. And therefore, prices are not accurately reflecting value. But as things settle across time, when a set is out for a long time, what you ultimately end up seeing is that values stabilize, primarily, usually. And there is at least less volatility on a day-by-day basis. And that points toward, we've really established what a card's usefulness is, its functionality, its impact, and the price, generally speaking, will reflect that. That has not happened yet with Conclave, and as a result, there's crazy deals that exist. And if you know how to find them, which I'm going to show you right now, you're going to be better off financially. You're going to stretch what you're able to do. You're going to receive better rewards. You're going to be able to do more with less. The big thing that I want to focus on today for the rest of the video is really the distinction between common regular foil cost versus gold foil cost. And we're going to be looking at it from the lens of the highest level of performance, creating a diamond level, champion level deck with the Conclave cards. And we'll start where I've already discussed before. I mentioned this in two recent videos. I think maybe one of them's out at the time of recording of this. So you're going to hear me talk about this card more than once. It's a great card. I don't want to argue too deeply for why I love it, but I do think it's a solid main tank. That's an important feature within this game. You have main tanks, which is like really your frontline defense. You also have secondary sort of, I call off tanks, cards that have maybe a lot of sustainability, or they can distract your opponent. They can keep your team alive longer. They can be a big significant distraction, meat shield. This is a main tank. You need to have a main tank on your team, a main tank or at least an off tank. It's a crucial role of how one succeeds in Splinterlands, and I think this fills that niche. There may be cards that do it better, but for the price, this is a great card, and for its functionality and synergies between its current abilities, Reckless, and how that works with Painforge, it's powerful and it's worth investing in. And it's only $60. $60 for a common foil is actually not that bad. That's a 14 or 15 cent per BCX average price. That's not cheap. And ultimately, I think that price will come down because several reasons. We're going to open more and more packs. We're definitely going to open more and more starter packs. Starter packs contain four common cards, probably, or three maybe sometimes. And so that's going to create more and more print rate of cards like Cavewise Wayfinder. For those reasons, I think this price ultimately goes down, but I also expect player-based growth to increase as well. So that complicates the conversation, because supply is one function of price, but demand is the other. And so if demand rises while supply rises, the price will still stay stable or increase. Great card, like it, recommend it. But here's the deal: $59 for a max reg foil. To get 400 cc of that card is $59.62, or I can come in and I can buy a gold foil for $70. Some people have bought some yesterday. This was cheaper yesterday. This was $2 to $5 cheaper to buy a gold foil of this card. And for a $10 differential, this is a no-brainer. Absolutely the gold foil. Now, only one of you can do this, because by the time one of you buys 38 cc of this thing, there won't be enough market liquidity to make that happen again for another person. But there's so many cards where this story is true. I'm not going to feature them all, but Vicious Giraffe is another one. This is a great card, and it synergizes really well with the Cavewise Wayfinder. It's got reach, it's got secondary tank potential. It has Pain Forge, which works with the Reckless from the Wayfinder. Trying to buy 400cc of this thing actually gets you 518cc because of the cards that are on the marketplace and how big they are or whatever. You don't need to necessarily understand that, but check this out. The average price is 11.7 cents per cc. Compare that to the gold foil version. It's cheaper, $47. It is, look at that. It's 30% cheaper to buy the gold foil version of this amazing card. Now, some part of that is because you're being forced to buy an extra 118cc because of, again, how the cards are. But regardless, if you want the Vicious Giraffe, gold foil is a crazy discount. And I think this is a great card. I think this is a solid card. I think it deserves your attention. I think it's worth investing. I think it's meta or functional, at least a high level of functionality from this card. So definitely that one is a steal for the gold foil version. Another is the Conclave Artificer. This is the only non-attacking monster in Conclave so far. Why is that important? Because of weapons training. Weapons training is an ability that other monsters will have that can teach this card how to fight. You can give it melee, archery, and you can give it magic. And actually you can give it all three in some situations or circumstances. And why is that important? That makes this card really crazy, actually. I really think this card is actually very strong. I think it's maybe being overlooked. I think it's actually really inexpensive for what it is. It's a neutral card, so it can work with every splinter. It's got the camouflage, and so you can, despite if they have the reveal, your camouflage may disappear. But if it's hidden with all these hit points and all, this void armor, which is another sustain function, a way that it won't die quickly. I really like this card. And look out, reduces incoming damage on your taunt monsters, and so this pairs so well with maybe a taunt distraction that you might generate. This is a very solid card for a lot of reasons, and it, like I say, it's unique in the sense that it is the only non-attacking monster from Conclave. You can pull in other non-attackers from Rebellion, and that'll still be in Modern, but it's a big deal. Plus 4 mana makes it Little League compatible. This is a very strong card. It's 400cc of this thing is going to be $55, a bit more expensive than the Giraffe on the gold foil. But check this out: gold foil Artificer, $50, $5 less to get a gold foil of an exceptional card. I want to speak to why this is happening. These are not the only examples. I have more. I'm going to share them with you before we go, but I want to take a time out here and just say, why is this happening? Well, it's primarily firstly happening in the common realm, like within the common rarity of these cards, because you need 400cc or BCX of every common card to max it out. That's actually a lot of liquidity. That's a lot. 400 units of the card need to be bought in order to max out your card. That liquidity is actually most of the marketplace. And that means that, because some of these cards have 400, 500, or 600cc on the market, which is to say 400 is literally almost the whole library, almost the whole sale book, right? And so you're going to move the market when you buy everything on the market, obviously. And that results in some of your CC being way more expensive than maybe the floor price. Maybe the floor price on some of these commons is 8 cents, but then you're paying 16 cents or 25 cents for the last 50 or 100. That's transforming your purchase price radically. And it's skewing what you're ultimately going to be paid. So the truth might be, on some of these, you only need 50 copies. It is going to be cheaper for you to buy the regular foil version and not the gold foil version. Maybe you need to buy 38 golds, or you need to buy 50 commons. Of course, you're going to save value by going common, regular. The question though is, Do you see long-term valuation from the gold foils? They're going to give you greater airdrop points from the Conclave airdrop. They're going to give you more rank rewards. They're going to open certain tournaments or guild brawl opportunities for you. Do you like that? I do, especially when the price point comes this close. There's more options here. There's more. The Asham Cindergrim, interesting opportunity magic monster with Painforge. I really like this card from the dwarf team, rather the fire team. 4 mana, again, literally compatible. And because it's fire, it actually can work with Lorcus, which can give you that 3 magic damage for 4 with Painforge, with opportunity, with a silence. And there's not a lot of silences in the with the Conclave set. So strong card, $35 for a max copy. Very reasonable price for the reg foil, but what about the gold foil? $41. $6 more to get a max gold foil. I'm probably taking that. If gold foils are less than double, if they're double the price of the reg foil, I consider that that's probably appropriate, because gold foils are going to come back faster in survival. They're going to give you more bonuses in rank. They're going to give you more airdrop points in Conclave airdrop, mage wagons. There's just so much extra functionality, tournaments, guild brawls. So if the price is double what the regular foil is, it probably makes sense. Here we have a modest $6 difference. So Ashen Cindergrim gold foil buy. Fenmore Wood Troll. This is another example of what I spoke to earlier. The market liquidity isn't sufficient to allow people to come in and buy 400cc of a card. This is not a super desirable card. It's one of the lower or the cheaper cards from the common of this new set. I like it and I want it. 400cc though is going to cost me $38. The average price goes to 9.3 cents on the Fenmore Wood Troll, but it's probably a 5 cent card at the lower levels. Its lack of liquidity is doubling the price, which is affecting the total purchase. $38 on the Fenmore for reg, or $31 on the gold foil. That's simply because you only need 38cc and not 400 copies. There's lack of liquidity and it's driving this differential. Another example, Boring Hobgoblin. This is another great neutral card with silence, by the way. Love it. Sneak attack with 3 damage is very meaningful. The armor helps it, if it's running into thorns. So I like this card quite a bit. And it's got reveal, which I think is going to be pretty helpful. 400cc costs $47. The gold foil, $32. $15 differential. That's a 33% differential, or maybe 40 plus % differential. Crazy. One more card. Titled Tsunamist. 434cc of this card is going to drive you to, that's the best or the closest max you can get, $50. How about $36 for a max? These differentials are crazy, and if you're recognizing these opportunities, you are going to adjust your plan, because maybe your plan was to get a max common set as quick as you can, and you're thinking, well, per unit price, the common reg foil are cheaper. Well, if you're thinking longer term and you want to build those bonuses, those opportunities, those financial and airdrop points, by the way, gold is the path. And so I just wanted to hop on and make sure you're seeing that. These are not the only opportunities that are reflecting this differential, this beneficial differential. The gold foils are in many cases cheaper than the regular foils. But these are just 5 or 6 examples that I found on the marketplace this morning. Make sure before you're buying, you're thinking through all of the implications of the purchase. And by the way, this is only one dimension you could consider. You could also go check out the black foils and see what that maximum will be worth, because those black foils are in particular are giving you 5x the CP, which is 5x the airdrop points from the Conclave airdrops. Lots to think about, guys. Make sure you're thinking it all through before you invest. That's going to be how you stretch your dollar, and that's going to be how you get the most out of Splinterlands, and that's how you're going to get the maximum reward for your time and attention. Thanks, guys. Have an amazing day. God bless.